Yo guys, I'm HP, this is Dr. Pink and welcome to Sound Lab. Today we're going to talk about the delay effect. From my point of view, this is the most important effect which we have when it comes to widening up your sound, any kind of room effects. Some guys of you might think it's the reverb, but the reverb plays a secondary role when you put the guitar sound into the whole band sound, because then the reverb somehow dissolves and it doesn't have really that effect. But in fact, if you want to have a really heavy reverberous effects, then the delay is the thing which you should pay attention to. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you the main features. You can experiment a lot with the delay. I'm going to show you what you need to know to use the delay effect and some tricks you probably don't know, and the rest is then upon to you, to your own creativity. Before we start, I'm going to switch off the delay. Now with zero effects, it's just the amp and the cabinet. So we have zero effects. What I just said, I switch on the reverb now. Spring reverb. Now you can hear the difference. This is a reverb. I switch it off and I'm going to put on a delay with a short delay time. This has really a short delay time. The delay time is like an echo. You know, it repeats the signal in a certain time frame, and this is called a delay time. And if you're playing guitar more than, let's say, 20 years, you had devices back then where you didn't have the tap tempo function. The tap tempo function is very useful in these days, because there you can put in the delay time just on the fly while you play. It's really useful, because when the drum guy plays a beat, you know, then you just tap in the delay and that's it. First we're going to talk about how you can find out the delay time by doing the right math, and later we're going to show you some tricks. Okay, delay time. Older devices, they only have settings where you can put in the milliseconds. So how do you find out the proper milliseconds for a certain tempo of a song? That's really simple. If a song has, let's say, 60 BPM, which is called beat per minute, means the song each beat is 1 second, because 1 minute has 60 seconds, so one beat is 1 second. 1 second contains 1000 milliseconds. So if the song is on 60 BPM, it's really simple. Then the setting will be 1000 milliseconds. Let's do that now. I can hear the setting has changed, and as you can hear, it has certain times of repeat. So we have 1, 2, 3 repeats, maybe 4. And with the feedback level, you can define how many repeats you want. Okay, so it really depends on what the effect you want to have. I come back to this later. With the mix level, you define how loud the delay signal is, which comes after. In this case, you can hear the sound, the signal which is created by the delay is louder than the original signal. If you want that, be my guest, but normally that should not be like this. So here I have a mixed level of 12%. I'm mostly back on 7%. Really depends. When you have more clean sound settings, I even go down to 4%. Now here the repeating signal is not so loud as the one before. Let's do that in a practical use. I have a little practice song here. This one has 90 BPM. Now we have to do the math. What shall we do with 90 BPM? Then you have to divide 60 with 90. This gives 0.6667 whatever. And then you multiply it with 1000. that gives you the milliseconds you want. So it will be, well, oh my god, the bad number. Let's do 667. So now this should be the right tempo for this speed. I created a little track here. It's just to show you the effects. Okay, this is on 90 BPM. That should work now. As you can hear, it repeats perfectly in the tempo of the song. It's the same tempo as the song. If you work like this of course requires that your drummer in your band can keep the tempo and doesn't get faster but till the end of the song. So if a song has a regular speed, then that's the way you create really cool delay effects. When you then now, I still switched off the reverb. When I now switch on the reverb, maybe make the delay is a little bit louder than before. Now we're gonna have a more extensive delay effect. As you can hear, it fits perfect in the tempo, but of course, when you work with a lot of delay, which I love to do, it requires that you really have to learn to play extremely precise because it repeats all what you play. Only if you have it's called one delay is called docking delay. Docking delay only comes in when you stop playing, so you can play anything and the last note gets repeated. But that's too much into detail. We're still on the basics. Okay. So, now one question will be, why do we need delay? I don't like it. I'm going to show you how it sounds without delay. Same thing as before, just reverb now. Put on the delay. I mean, it's personal taste, just to show you the difference. So that's the way you put in the delay. If you have a tap function, well, now we did the math to find out the correct milliseconds. If you want to but most modern devices have a tap function, and in this case you can select the tempo by, let's probably do here a quarter note. Then you do the setting on the quarter note, and then you just tap in the tempo of the song, which leads to the exact same result. It's just the modern way of doing that. By the way, if you want to go on the 8th note as an example, you can also put on 8th note. In this case, you have to divide the 667 milliseconds we had before with 2, leads to 332, 33 milliseconds, and that will be the same thing as putting the tap function on the 8th note, or 16th note will be, you divide again with 2. You know, that's the way you do the math. But if you have a tap function, you don't need to think about this. You can just put in whatever you want. But the most common one is quarter note. Sometimes when I want to have half note delays, then I just tap in like on the 2 and on the 4, and so it doubles up the delay time. That's the way you work with delays in general. Okay. Now the question is, how many feedback level do you need? That's really a personal taste. It really depends on the genre, what you want. I'm just going to give a few short tips, what from my experience works good or is more problematic. On clean guitar, delays are more disturbing because somehow it mixes up the whole thing. As you probably heard before, it was already on the edge. When the sound is too clean, then when you have a delay, it somehow messes up the whole thing. But let me quickly put back the right delay time. But I've used a digital delay now. What works nicely on more clean signal or crunchy signals is when you add any type of analog delay. Let's take here analog. You hear the sound which is created with analog delays is more creamy. Let's put it back on 4 here. And now somehow it fits better into the sound as before. Okay, there are several types of delays available which are pretty cool, but on analog, but you can choose any, and then it already sounds a bit better. As you can hear, it sounds a little bit reverby, but it's not in a disturbing manner. If I switch off the delay, then you don't have the same effect. It's really a personal taste. I'm just showing a few tricks. See, now the signal is quite dry. It's a personal taste, but I'm just showing options, okay? What also is cool, if you have this function, I already mentioned it, docking delay. Where do we have it? Here, docking delay. Where is it? It's not coming. Maybe the mix level is not loud enough. Oh, the delay is switched off. Docking delay only kicks in when you stop playing, and when you play you have a dry signal and only kicks in on the last notes and repeats the last phrase. That's quite cool, and this also works quite good with when now the mix level is too high. I'll switch back to 4% for a clean setting, and now we see how this works, and it only kicks in at the end of a phrase. You don't hear it so much. I put up the level a bit. You can hear the effect. Yeah, you probably heard it. I like the docking, especially on clean sound settings. What also is good on clean sound settings is reverse delay. If you want to have, where do we have this here? Reverse delay. Here. Gives kind of an ambient type of sound. See? And it avoids that the delay, when you play with clean sound settings, disturbs the general flow of the music. And with reverse delay, I often use reverse delay on I really like this effect. It gives a reverby ambient type of sound, which is quite cool. So these are the settings which you can use. All this stereo effect, ping pong goes from left to right, only works in a stereo setting. If you have an amplifier with send return, then all types of stereo effects don't work. So in this case, you just if you want to have really stereo effects, it widens up your sound. It's really cool. But if you only have an amp with send return, then you cannot do any ping pong or panning delay stuff, which some devices have as a feature. Now let's go to more distorted guitar. Let me take one here. On distorted guitar, again, I'm a fan of a wide sound when it comes to distorted guitars, because this widens up your sound, and the distorted signal is kind of you know, if you want to create long notes, a proper delay really doubles up your sound. And in this case, let me see how the settings are here. Here, okay, feedback on and 20. Let's put it on 50%. Here you can really push it up to 50% if you want to have long notes. Then put up the feedback and you can go up till 7 repeats. These were 8 repeats, so it's, I want to go over 7, so let's go on 45%. And now you can see the effect here with long notes. You have this really wide sound, especially when you go in the high notes. When you compare it, when you switch off the delay, you will see that you don't have this wide sound anymore if you play the same stuff. And as I said at the beginning, if you put on a lot of the reverb, it will not solve the problem. I went on to 30%. We have a lot of reverb now, but it will not solve the problem because the reverb somehow disappears in the sound. Now if you want to put on the delay, so that really works, and these are also the main settings which I'm using. If you want to use dotted delay effects, that's really upon to you. That's more special stuff. You really need to check out if you know, here you have dotted delay settings. That's special stuff if you want to have, you know, some crazy effects. That's pretty cool. Or if you want to use dual delays and stuff like that, or multi-delays. I love multi-delays a lot. Let me show you. Where do I have one? And one more. Here I have a multi-delay. Now let's try this now. Really, I use it for special sound settings. When I want to have a really wide sound, I use this extreme delay here. As you can hear, there are 3 or 4 delays which are repeating and shuffling themselves up, and this creates a really wide sound. If you like that, as I said, for certain stuff, I really love that. Gives really a very strong reverb feel for the listener. So it really depends on the sound. In this case, this backing track was not really the proper setting for such an extreme delay setting. You know, if you work with cinematic sounds, then you also need a cinematic guitar sound, and then you need a lot of delays to get this, you know, to be above the frequency levels of a string orchestra or stuff like that, then you need stuff like that to be above the frequency levels. But this is already expert stuff. That's about all I wanted to say about delays. That you know how to work with delays. It's really I've found it the most important effect, but it requires that you can play really precise. If you cannot play precise, or you're still learning, then I strongly recommend that you work with only, with short delay settings as in the beginning, I showed you where you just have a short repeat. And, let me see here. Here we have a short delay. Oh, this doesn't work. Anyhow, yeah. If you're still learning to be precise, then don't use too strong delay effects, because as I said, the more delays you have on your rig, the more precise you have to play, because it will summon up everything. I mean, it starts that if you cannot play quarter notes exactly on the beat, then all these settings which I was talking about, they're useless, because it repeats what goes in, And I always say, if sh goes in, sh comes out. You know what I mean? So if you're precise, then delay really opens up a whole new world for your guitar sound. But if you're not precise, then I strongly recommend to only use short delay settings and work on your timing till it's perfect, and to get this really wide sound, which by the way, from all the great guitar players, which have such, Satriani as an example, who has such a nice wide sound. It's done with a lot of delay effects, which you probably don't hear on the first. When you listen to the stuff, you don't immediately hear it, but when you hear it when the note stops, then you can hear how many repeats they have on the sound, and this creates this wide sound. That's all me and Dr. Pink are having to say for today about delays. I hope you enjoyed this, and for more Sound Lab tips, please subscribe to my channel. Please become a member of the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. If you want to discuss your own sound rig, and there you can share the information, and I can have a look at it, what your stuff is, and maybe can give you the one or other tip, because there are many devices out there. It's really hard to make a general thing on stuff, but most devices have these things which I was talking about. Good. Me and Dr. Pink are saying goodbye.